Fabulous. Live now, even better. Jump right into it. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Really excited for today's fireside chat. We've got some great experiences here. We'll let the panel introduce themselves, and then we'll jump into some good topics. I'm Dane Candy, CEO of Cork. Absolutely thrilled to be working with Datastream and Tate and so many of our other partners. And we've been having fun building businesses together, listening and learning and trying to make sense of this fun world that we live in, where our job is to create simplicity, confidence, authenticity, and integrity around compliance insights, what we're all doing day in, day out, and then the financial integrity of cyber warranty, cyber insurance, and really being able to show up for partners and for our clients. So thanks for joining us today. I'm going to hand it over to Max. Love for you to introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Yeah, pleasure to be here. I'm Max. I'm the Chief Data Officer and one of the co-founders of Datastream Insurance. So we've been around now for over 4 years, and yeah, built to help serve MSPs, MSSPs, and their customers get cyber insurance as, holistically and easily as possible. Great to chat with Cork, one of our favorite partners, and look forward to this chat today, and Tate as well, of course.
Awesome. Tate, that's your cue.
That's my cue. I like it. I'm Tate Covert. I'm the CEO and president of Sentry Computing out of Seattle. I've been in the MSP business, thinking about this morning, about 25 years. So it's been a little while. And I really enjoy the chance to work with a lot of vendors, especially lately. Cork and Datastream have been a good partnership for us. So excited to be here. Thank you.
Fabulous. Happy to have you, Tate. And Mr. Wolf.
Hi all, Nick Wolf, Director of Partner Acquisition and Channel Chief here at Cork. So if you're one of our several hundred partners that signed up in the last year or so, odds are it was me giving you the pitch or being on stage, and really excited to have a great conversation today.
Awesome. Thank you. I'll set up the idea for us. And really what we've been working on is that there is a convergence of compliance, cyber warranty, and cyber insurance. And we're entering this new era of cyber risk management. We have such a, when I talk with partners, constantly hearing about how many different technologies are in the stack, and how much time is spent thinking about where there's risk, where there's not, what's working, what's not, and needs around the truth of how we can get better at making sure that anybody that isn't putting the right security protocols in place is getting that done, and then how we manage and support all of that. And of course, we're always thinking about the cyber insurance and cyber warranty and how there can be financial protection after somebody is hit. And so, with that, I'd love to hand it over to you, Max. I'm curious from your perspective, living in the data, in the policies with so many different brokers and insurance carriers. What are some of the things that you're seeing in 2025 as important things to pay attention to?
Yeah, it's a great question. And, always like to start at the top a little bit, just making sure for everyone, it's probably the physicist background, but I always like to define our terms. So, making sure everyone's familiar with cyber insurance as a field, right? So it's like any other insurance product, just like you would buy a life insurance or a car insurance policy. It's designed to make you whole again. And cyber insurance has actually existed since the late 90s, although it was very, very immature then. It's a lot more mature now. The field globally is sold, I believe, in like 2022, they crossed like the $10 billion premium mark. And I think last year they might have crossed something like 15 billion. So the field is continuing to grow, and, we're set up to try to, again, stay on top of that changing insurance world, which has to change because the risk it's insuring against is dynamic, unlike a lot of other perils. You're really insuring yourself against bad guys who don't constantly do the same thing. What we've seen over the last couple of years is actually a good thing. If you did have to deal with insurance, especially in 2019 and 2020, you might have seen prices go up quite a lot and coverages go down because there were a lot of losses coming in as the world went very digital during COVID, and people weren't adequately prepared for that. So there was a lot of losses from ransomware attacks and, frankly, a lot of low-hanging fruit that hackers were taking advantage of. That caused the market to harden, which means that security requirements went up. So did prices to get the same policy. And we've seen a steadier last couple of years globally, which means that prices have not had the same kind of levels of surge, and that there's been a lot more stability and I think convergence on some of the key controls. So this is like overall, I would say like a much more stable time to jump in and I don't want to ramble on too long, but it's a little bit of the state of how I think the cyber insurance world looks right now.
Do you see a trend towards stability, clarity, insurance companies trying to do better, be more consistent, and to work more closely to understand policies and the needs of businesses?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. Again, I won't try to ramble on too much, but like something that's typically sometimes not as understood by the end customer is that oftentimes the prices you see, they are really connected to what is happening globally. So if globally big insurance companies are taking big losses, your cybersecurity could have looked exactly the same last year as it does this year, but because of the global sort of attacks and trends, there are updates that happen there. We've seen much more stable loss ratios globally, which is good. So that means, again, you're not seeing like huge price surges. I would say that there's always going to be very likely a monotonically increasing level of what we would almost call like a minimum viable security to get good pricing and good quotes. Like in 2020, what we really saw was that things like MFA went from a nice to have to pretty much a hard requirement for many carriers. So I don't think we're ever going to go backwards there and all of a sudden see people like swimming into the market and offering things to risks they wouldn't have even priced before. But I don't think, I think that there's a better understanding there. And I think in terms of understanding policies, people are trying really innovative, fun stuff with some of the new AI and LLMs out there, other ways of, again, giving customers better tools to understand what can be an often perceived as pretty complex product. Yeah.
Okay. I've heard you go extremely deep into the world of actuary tables and the data behind all of this. And that's helped in this relationship that Cork and Datastream have as well, where we at Cork are truth seekers in what is real, what is not. We leverage our inside out platform in order to be able to work closely with partners so we can identify potential risk areas. Tate can tell that story in a little bit as well, in his experience there. I keep coming back to this word truth, because that has to be the foundation of our relationships in order for us to support our partners. I'm curious, as you've looked at all of the insights that are fed from Cork partners and clients into Datastream, how does that help take this big insurance conversation, actually normalize it for the people on this call and the businesses that we're trying to support?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think it's probably going to segue to Tate, which is in a sense, the most important things, actually boots on the ground, people hopefully using the tools that we're building in a way that makes things easier and gets people better pricing. But yeah, where I think this works extremely well is that, Datastream really sees our lane as being the insurance guy. And we want to integrate with as many great security providers that get that inside view. So you're essentially getting a vetting at like 2 levels. Datastream is doing our own gap analysis on top of data we would get from Cork. And the beauty of what Cork is sending over is that, you're already getting, you're getting flow from a security vendor that already is looking for a lot of what we would call like those basic cyber hygiene checklist items. So oftentimes what we see from the Cork flow is a bunch of green check marks, basically, because the basics you want are already in place, which means you're at a great spot to take that single application and shop it out to a whole network of carriers. And frankly, again, you don't necessarily get that guarantee if you're just coming from, a random small to medium business that finds us online. They could have any kind of posture under the sun. So you get a really good inside view. And, you only really even can qualify, I believe, for the Cork warranty if you meet some of those requirements. So if you already meet those requirements and then you're coming to us, we kind of already know you look like a great risk to the rest of the insurance market. And we just make that process easier and can bump up the deductible since you have a warranty and can get really preferable pricing on insurance then on top of that. So, again, this is where the theory ends, and then maybe more the practical world begins. I'll stop here.
You mean the real world?
Yeah.
It's a good segue. I found Cork a while ago now, I think pretty early, and the concept to me was interesting for a couple reasons. It's funny, the warranty, of course, is a selling point. I think a lot of people look at it like, oh, hey, there's a warranty here that can, help me get some quick money if something's happened, help protect the clients a little bit. I didn't even look at it that way. Like for me, it was more about, what Max was talking about, these integrations and connections with all the providers, right? So I can at a glance see these same green shields, check boxes that Max was talking about to know that those services are, protected, covered, in place, like for those clients that have these warranties applied. And, I believed in it so much, I just bought it for all my clients, and it was something we bundled into our, there's some screen sharing going on. I bundled it into our, security package, which has worked well for us. So, all of our different EDR, MDR, monitoring, ITDR, plus Cork, plus others, has just been a great, easy thing to drop in. And then it does give us not only this visibility, but like double checks on things. It'll tell us if, hey, I've got this workstation I see in your RMM, I don't see it on EDR, or I see it in this system and not that system. Like that's a challenge for us as MSPs, and it solves that problem. And then, the benefit I didn't expect really was this data stream benefit, meaning the cyber insurance portion, because, pretty immediately we took clients when they would come to us, and they, most of our clients come to us routinely once a year. Hey, will you fill out this form for us? And I'd be like, hey, I'm happy to do that with your current broker. Just know that your current broker is probably, they're already doing your business insurance and all the other necessities that you have, but they're not going to be an expert in cyber insurance. And that's what Datastream was so good for us. So like I immediately took our clients and said, hey, can I just connect you with Datastream? And not only did they get better information and better understanding about their policy, but they saved money. I mean, significant money. I mean, one of them was like 30% less a year. I mean, that's huge, right? So that pays for a big portion of, their cybersecurity suite, which of course, we have to increase. We did a bigger increase this year on that because we added more product, but it was all to the benefit of this. And then we saved them money through the cyber insurance. So like it's all really easy. I know these guys have said this better together kind of mentality, and I believe it. And that's, I'm sure, why I'm here, to tell you that it's worked. It works for me. It works for my clients. It's very simple, and the product's evolving, right? Like there's a few of us on the partner advisory board. They're really having to try to drive that product. I think mostly from a usability aspect, because the benefits and features are there. It's just making sure it's really easy to digest, right, and get that information into your PSA, and so your staff can make it easy to deal with these, whatever they are. Like, oh, I've got a duplicate thing here, I'm missing an EDR here, or I need to silence this alert. Like that stuff's got to be easy, and it's getting easier all the time. So I've been
Love it, Tate.
happy.
Follow-up question for you.
Yeah.
What's it like talking with clients, new clients, prospects for your business or existing, where they're coming to you with questions about cyber insurance, cyber warranty? They're trying to understand what their options are as well.
Sure.
What are those experiences like for you?
Well, it's much easier. I can just hand them over to Datastream. I mean, literally to have them have that conversation about the cyber insurance portion, because, that's not something we need to be nor want to be experts in. My selling point about any of these security features to clients is it is, an all-inclusive, all-encompassing package to make them secure. And these are just all very important parts of it. So I have definitely told them about the cyber warranty part. And I say the same thing I said to everyone here. Like, yes, you have this ability to get some quick access to funds if there's a breach. Obviously, the entire goal of this thing is to not have a breach, right? And everyone is financially incentivized not to have that happen. So they're going to be doing all these double checks on these systems, which is where we can come in and give them, as you said, that inside outside view of the client, and then we feel that they're secure. This, Cork feels that it's secure. Datastream, it feels that it's secure. The insurance carrier thinks it's secure. Like, I mean, what else? How much better can you do?
Yeah, back to that integrity piece, because you're seeking confidence
Yes.
with your clients that, hey, I've got, cyber insurance and warranty available. Two sides of the same coin. A lot of these,
And they need both. I'm very clear about that. There's not one versus the other. You need both.
and why do you think that is? Why are you so adamant about that, Tate?
Oh, because a cyber warranty is never going to cover the potential depth, of a security issue, right? These things, I would say anything that gets past the defenses in place now that we have for an MSP is going to be so sophisticated that it could go deep and wide very quickly. So whatever that coverage you think you have could get, just blown up, to the point where you could take your business down. And that's what insurance is for, right? I mean, it's that kind of catastrophic loss. If it's, oh, they got in and they, somehow got us to send them a, wire transfer for 50 grand, like, great. Like, that's going to happen. Cork will help cover that. But if it's, millions of dollars, you need to be protected for that.
So Tate, on that note, we actually have a question from the audience.
Sure.
He wants to know, how are you exactly bundling Cork into your offering? As you know, we sell two warranties. We have the $100,000 warranty. We have the $500,000 warranty. And to be crystal clear here, you as an MSP are not selling cyber insurance. Cyber insurance is not on.
No, we can't do that.
Can't do that. Let's tag in our friends over at Datastream. So I guess, how are you actually packaging in Cork? Is it included? Is the 100K included on the bronze plan? Is the 500K included on the silver plan? And that question was asked by Chris Porosky.
Yeah, we bundle the 100K plan in automatically with the standard cybersecurity offering. I honestly haven't had a deep conversation about upgrading people to the 500 plan. I know I probably should, but at the same time, like, the cyber insurance thing is more important for me to get that done first. So for us, it's, again, and I don't want to plug anyone specifically. We use Huntress for EDR, ITDR. That's plugged in. Obviously, we have some Acronis things. You can see my logos around me for, email security, that kind of stuff. All of the backups, right? We back up individual workstations now to the cloud, plus the servers, whether they're, in cloud or prem, back up some SaaS applications there. And that's all plugged into that Cork dashboard. I don't know if that answers the whole question. I mean, we just bundle it in there. It's just something that comes with the service, because I believe in its not only benefit to the client, but benefit to us to have that visibility and double checking reassurance, if that makes sense.
And the price is relatively minimal here, right? We're not talking about
For Cork, yes,
investment. The Cork piece is going to be, pennies on the dollar. And at the end of the day, the client ends up saving that money on cyber insurance, right?
More than that, right? And our entire cybersecurity suite is a significant price for someone, right? I mean, as it should be, like, because there's so many pieces to that. And not only do we try to bundle the product in there, but then part of the process too. Like, we have a security analyst on staff. We have, people that have to go through tickets and look at these things and manage it at some level. I'm trying to capture a lot of that inside that cybersecurity bundle. So product's just a portion of it. Cork is definitely the smallest one. And I would say the cyber insurance savings so far have easily paid for Cork. They're actually paying for a lot more than that so far.
Got it. And one of the ways that we could lower the cost of cyber insurance that I'd like to mention here is, Cork's warranty pays off the cyber insurance deductible.
Amen.
So Max, if we could pass that over back to you, what is the average deductible you're seeing before Cork? What is the average deductible you're seeing after Cork? And how much of a needle is that moving when it comes to the pricing?
Yeah, no, and like Tate sort of said this, like, I think exactly, but I mean, like something like 30% can absolutely be seen, because I mean, it's as simple as, again,
multiple times, by the way. So, yeah.
Which is great. I mean, that's great. That's great evidence to see. It's kind of what we're seeing as well. But like, yeah, again, in my spare time, I run insurance simulations as ones want to do, right? And if you play
sure.
around, if you play around with things like simulating 1,000,000 years of losses for a typical SMB with a certain frequency and severity, right? Because that's how people think about this. You can just tweak the terms and see, like, literally the same exact company, the same exact limit policy. If you just tweak a deductible from, let's say, $2,500 to $25,000, it makes a massive difference because we talk about the big events, and that's definitely what you want insurance to cover you for. But the majority of events follow something like a heavy tail distribution. So a lot of them are smaller. And if you can basically tell the insurance person, you don't need to pay me out up till 25K, that makes a big difference on ultimately the price that comes out of it. So it's just like Tate said. So like all those numbers are really in line. Anywhere from 30 to 50% is very reasonable with the types of kind of deductible differences we're talking about.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting you talking about the market softening there, right? And I had a feeling, it's good to know, right? As an MSP too, it's good to know. I think everyone in the industry has, done a decent job of putting in as much as we can within reason to protect the low hanging fruit, right? And that's obviously reflected in the pricing of the policies regardless. But then the combination of that plus the savings we're seeing through you guys is obviously amazing for the clients, right?
Totally.
I did have one. I'll only say one of them. I know
go
I
ahead.
don't want to drown on either. No, it's just about like I had one client that didn't have a cyber insurance policy because of the cost of that policy. I think that would be a better time to talk about the 500K kind of thing. Is like this is like your baseline here, and then we'll see what we can do. They have since gotten a policy, so it's not as big of a thing. But I think that's like, so that's why I don't have that conversation very often. But if you have any of these clients that are like resistant to having a cyber insurance policy, which I think is crazy a little bit, but if they do, then you start them with this like 500K kind of warranty package, and then maybe lead them into the cyber over time. I mean, for their own good, right? And it's not like you get a bunch of benefit as an MSP from them having cyber insurance. You just you want that done so you don't have to worry about it either, right? So.
You bring up a great point, which is that everybody's on a journey. Businesses are on a journey. They're trying to understand and purchase the right types of things for their business. At the end of the day, businesses are in business in order to run the restaurant or be the university or deliver healthcare, right?
Make money, not spend it, you mean?
Exactly. And we're thinking collectively, we're thinking about those things and trying to simplify that. So businesses are on a journey, which means MSPs and companies like Datastream and Cork are trying to support as well. So when I look across our hundreds of partners and then thousands of clients, less than 40% of those businesses actually have cyber insurance today. And that number is going up every year as there's more and more pressure on all of us to be thinking about financial risk. It's fun to be part of, as Cork, it's fun to be part of that journey where we pay on incidents for both. Right? We had one last year. It was a law firm in Canada, and the CEO of that law firm got a SharePoint invite, thought it was from a friendly, made a mistake, exposed some things. The MSP instantly got in there. 24 minutes later, had quarantined, the environment, and notified insurance and notified Cork. And we, of course, hand over our electronic credit card right away. And then we wrote checks for all sorts of different things, all the time and expenses that were incurred. So it ended up being $0 for the client. And then the MSP was reimbursed for everything, including at one point they had to order pizza for the team, right? Because everybody's got to eat. And so I loved signing off on that one. And that's a case where insurance is involved, but insurance hasn't had to pay out in that case because Cork did, and some other reasons. The most recent one, for instance, no insurance. And so it was a great opportunity for us to show up, and it was a very sophisticated attack where it's a construction company, and one of the vendors of the construction company that handled some payments asked for a $20,000 bill to be paid, but had switched out the routing numbers, and the team didn't know any better because it was so good, that attack.
Oh, yeah.
So good. And so Cork wrote the check for the $20,000 ACH and reimbursed the partner in that particular case. And unfortunately, those attacks in 2024 went up 703%. Spear phishing is on the right. Like, this is happening all around us. And it is just, we've got to be there as partners and as technology companies in order to support our collective clients.
And educate them. Like my last plug for anything is like, we bundle cybersecurity awareness training into, I know most of you do, but there's benefit there. I've personally been happy with Wiser mostly because they have relevant content, but there's tons of different options out there that are interesting, but like make sure you educate them to like be cautious of weird ACH payments and maybe pick up the phone. But
yeah, education matters. I want to be cognizant of our time. Love to answer questions as they're coming in. Do we have any more?
Yep, it looks like John Campbell asked, is there a reason to team up with a local brick and mortar traditional insurance company that also sells cyber as well? So Max, what is your preference there?
Yeah, I mean, we use the analogy a lot that basically we're just like a specialist. If this was like a medical thing, obviously like general practitioners have a total place, but we just do cyber. Basically, that's our lane. And so we tend to have better specialization, can shop more carriers. Like a typical brick and mortar place might have 3 or 4 carriers they can shop, whereas we can do 30 or 40. And because of that, we can often typically have a little bit more leverage for getting better pricing as well. So I think those things together help. And Tate, I'll let you jump in.
I'm gonna plug you because it's like you answering your own sales question, but I'll answer it for you to help you out, only to say obviously you're right, but I think the knowledge level difference, you got to take that into account, right? Like that's what they know cyber, right? They're not trying to sell you some other thing, they're selling you cyber insurance. And I think the what you hear from Datastream about even the policy analysis, it's great for me to see. Like they're telling the clients, but I look at it all, I'm like, God, it's very interesting, like the perspective, what they know about it, what they know is coming. And think about the fact that they're going to be helping to like guide Cork and like, hey, here's what you need to like look at now to help get the rates lower. I mean, that whole synergy is like super important.
Yeah, super appreciate that. Yeah, I think like it's just hard to, that's our thing. We have the specialists, like we have a really great brokerage team, and hopefully again, like love hearing good feedback that again, there's like a lot of good guidance for the coverage. And then on the data science side, we're getting, thousands of policies, thousands and thousands of quotes. And like Tate said, we run that against and build models against that data to say, here's what we see actually affecting price. So, be aware of that stuff. And that changes over time. So you're just not going to get that with a brick and mortar place. And if anything, some of the brick and mortar people are actually, because of how complicated cyber is specifically, they're actually looking to offload that a little bit because it can take
they
a lot of
too.
time.
They even send it on, you can tell like when it transitions, right?
Yeah.
But
on the flip side of that, one of the reasons I love working with Datastream is that they're trying to do right. They're trying to do good in this world. And so, Max, I've heard you working with brokers and actually educating brokers. And at the end of the day, even if you don't capture that particular insurance policy, what you've done is you've helped up level how insurance brokers are thinking about cybersecurity and what to pay attention to. So I appreciate you taking that approach.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that again, where the Cork partnership is really great because kind of again, in our perspective, we just want to make sure people are safer out there. And there are some customers that balk at insurance pricing. And that's where things like warranties are a fantastic stepping stone as well. So as long as you're going in the right direction and getting some basic, like getting increased coverage, I think that's just the way to go. So yeah, we just want to make sure people are ultimately being safer out there. And yeah, we're in a funny space. You see a lot of the monetary things, but ultimately,
the safer everyone is across the board, right?
Yeah.
The lower those prices and the easier it's going to be. Right?
Exactly.
And that's just get everyone to do the same thing as much as humanly possible, especially when it comes to protection, right?
Exactly.
Do we have any other questions?
we're light on the questions today. Maybe we just did a really good job.
Tate, when did you first get cyber insurance for your MSP, and how was that process? Looks like some MSPs have had difficulty getting cyber insurance because they're considered high risk. So between you and Max, I'd love to hear that story.
Yeah, I'd love to hear from Max too. Like it's, when did I first get it? Probably 5 years ago-ish, as a separate thing. And yes, it's just gone up every year. It's challenging. I mean, that's just how it is. I just assume that. I mean, it's part of the cost of doing business as an MSP, right? And I'm not surprised we're a target, obviously. So yeah, no, it sucks. It's the one thing I have not talked to Max about this, so I'm curious, where you are on providing, coverage. Our policy's not up yet, so it's a conversation we're going to have. But that's all I got. It sucks. It's cost a lot of money.
Yeah, I think yeah, that'll be a funny end note if that's the end note, which is okay. But yeah, no, it does. So like, yeah, for any SMBs that think that process is annoying, it's much more annoying for the MSPs, the MSSPs out there, because basically, again, from the insurance perspective, these MSPs, despite providing a ton of IT and security to make companies safer, because they're so interconnected, there's sort of this nexus of potential aggregated risk. So they are much more stringent about collecting a lot more data. So the applications tend to be longer and rigorous. This is the one other thing, it's connected to cyber, but for MSPs, we do tech E&O and cyber bundles. So it's a separate application. Again, it has to be a little bit more complex than the typical one for SMBs, but we've been able to get some really good rates there again, because we kind of have some specialists and can shop that. But yeah, so more than happy to talk about that. We try to
hit me up about that. We're about to.
And that's where we at Cork invest a lot in our compliance insight and our tooling, and being able to understand all endpoints across an MSP and all of the MSP's clients, so that you get that holistic view of where there is risk. And that is a tool, right? That's the tool you take back to the insurance companies. And that's the tool that you're leveraging to show this is how performant and secure we are. And we look at this every day. We know our business. And Tate, you said, I asked you the question once, why do you continue to participate with Cork at such a high level? And you said, you're giving me confidence to go run my business and to be effective and know my blind spots so I can go fix them.
That's what I look at for any of our cyber product providers, right? I mean, I want to offload, right? I don't want to be responsible for that. I want someone to help with that problem. So.
Yep, makes sense. Any other questions before we wrap up?
Okay. We managed to run over.
We have one more who said, how do you compare to Spectra?
Never heard of them.
Sorry.
Good answer.
Yep.
As we all Google. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, sorry. Is that for us or you or you? Yeah, I don't know.
We'll be good research after the call.
Yeah.
Well, team, I really appreciate you gentlemen taking the time to chat today. It's been good. For those listening and joining along with us, any other further questions, we'd love to be of service. We're here to educate. We're here to do better, continuously learn how we can be of greater service to you and your clients. So if we can be a participant in any way, happy to do so. So thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Cheers, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Peace.
Bye.